Hey everybody, Jason Creel, and this is the Lawn Care Life. It's a rainy day, so I'm sitting on my front porch, and today I want to talk to you about 7 fears that you're going to overcome when you're starting a lawn business. And these are things I think most people in the lawn care business are faced, or at least some of those. So let's get started with 7 fears to overcome when starting a lawn care business. Number 1, and these are in no particular order, but the number 1 thing I was thinking of, and this one is most relevant to me, is the fear of failure. What if I'm not successful? You know, and so you're looking at starting a business, and you hear statistics of people that start business and don't make it. You've seen people in the lawn business, some make it, some don't. And what if I don't make it? And so that is something that has to be overcome. And you know, these fears are not necessarily false fears. They're realities. You know, there's some health to them, that to understand the concerns here, to understand that there is some risk involved when you start a business. So fear of failure is probably the biggest one for me. Fortunately, the lawn business, in my opinion, is one of the easier businesses to get started. You know, like I said, I wouldn't want to go start a restaurant necessarily. I would say you'd have a far less likely chance of being successful in that than a lawn care business. And most people that aren't successful in lawn business don't take a huge loss in it. They just sort of fizzle it out. So anyway, fear of failure is number 1. Number 2 fear to overcome when starting a lawn care business is the opinion of others. Now when you're starting a lawn business, especially if you're looking at quitting a full-time job to go start your own lawn business, something you've never done before, chances are you're going to get some reaction from other people, whether it be friends, family, co-workers at your current job. And they're going to be, you know, some people, at least the case for me, some people think it was the greatest thing ever. They're super excited and support you. Some, you know, don't think it's a great idea, kind of like, what are you doing? Why would you go mow lawns for a living or do something like that and leave a steady job, maybe with benefits and things like that? And then some are just sort of neutral and just don't quite understand it. They might not have an entrepreneurial spirit, so they just don't get it. So don't take that stuff too personal. At the end of the day, you got to believe that you're the person that can make this happen. It's not whether or not it can happen or not. I mean, yeah, lots of people are successful in lawn business, so of course it can happen. I mean, if you have a decent market you're in, now you can't start a lawn business in Antarctica or something, on the moon or something like that. But I'm saying if there's a market for it, then it can happen. It's just you got to believe in yourself, and you can't worry about what everybody's thinking about you, or whether or not it's going to be successful. It's not for everybody, but you got to know that you can do it. Number 3 fear that I think people in the lawn business face, or at least a lot of them, is a fear of winter income. You know, I start and I'm thinking, you get going out there in making money, and you're mowing lawns in the summer, or doing whatever you're doing, and it's going great, you know, but then you have that fear like, well, what am I going to do in the wintertime? Now maybe you live somewhere where you can do snow plowing, or you figure out some other way to bridge that gap. There's a lot of ways that people go about that, whether it be figuring out how to get year-round contracts. A lot of people do that here in the South. Again, I mentioned in the North, people do snow plowing. There's a lot of other side things that are semi-related. You know, people get into Christmas light decorating and firewood chopping and things like that. Though I tried that, and that was a lot of work for not that much money. But I mean, there's things that people do. Here, people in the South, again, people do landscaping a lot in the winter, which is a good time for that. So, but it is a concern, and it needs to be something that needs to be dealt with. And don't just think, well, I'm just going to make a lot of money in the summer. And some people do that, but it is difficult to take months off at a time with little to no income. So that's another fear that needs to be overcome, and something that needs to be seriously thought about before you jump into this thing. The 4th fear that came to my mind was the fear of health insurance. You say, well, what do you mean by that? I'm not scared of health insurance. Well, you know, a lot of the times that one of the hurdles that people have when you become self-employed, especially if you're leaving a job that had company provided health insurance, is now that you're going to have to provide that for yourself unless you have a spouse or someone that you're on their plan. So this is something to be overcome. I'll just tell you, for me, what we do, and it's not for everybody, my family's a part of a Christian health share program. There's several of those out there, MediShare and others. The one we do is called Samaritan Ministries. It functions a lot like health insurance, though it's not technically health insurance. We pay a monthly premium It doesn't cover prescription drugs. And the way ours functions is basically when I go to the doctor, I'm responsible for the first $300. So if I just have a doctor's visit that costs $100, I've got to pay for that. But if I go and have a surgery or something that's over $300, typically because you're a cash customer, they're going to give you a discount. As long as your discount is over $300, which it almost always is, then you literally pay nothing out of pocket. So, and your monthly premiums are way cheaper than standard health insurance. So for my family of 6, we pay a little over $500 a month. And then, like I said, usually when we have anything serious happen, there's zero out of pocket expense. And if we have small things at the doctor, then we do have to pay for that. But anyway, it's a much more affordable option. We've been doing it for about 7 or 8 years, maybe 9 now, and it's been great for our family. But for those of you who don't want to do that, I'm just telling you what we do. Then figuring out a way to get health insurance is a concern, it's a fear, and it's what maybe keeps people in a job. They're worried, well, what am I going to do for insurance if I leave my job and have to go start my own line business? The 5th fear I was thinking of is the fear of the competition, and especially when you're starting out. I remember facing that, just thinking, well, I can mow lawns, I can do lawn service things, but what about people that have been doing this a long time? And I would see people out there working when I was thinking about starting a lawn business, and they'd be so fast. I thought, well, how could I ever be that good at it? And I remember a story someone had told me one time when I was first starting, and he said he was doing landscaping jobs in the winter, and he had a very nice neighborhood, wealthy people, and they had this big landscaping job, and he felt intimidated about doing it. And he said the customer actually said, no, I want you to do it, and gave him that bit of confidence. He was able to do the job, and I think having that customer believe in him and just saying, no, I want you to be the one that does the landscaping for me, gave him some confidence. And that's the thing, it's like, it's not that hard. Some of you may not struggle with this. Maybe you're overconfident, but it's not that hard. But it is a competitive industry, and so you have to do good quality work. At least I think you should to grow and to be successful. So, I just think, from my experience, if you show up when you say you're going to show up, charge a reasonable price, and do a good job, then people are going to like you. Because the truth is, if you do those 3 things, you're going to separate yourself from a lot of people in the lawn business. And that may sound simple, but I find people who don't, maybe show up on time and don't do sloppy work, or those who do a great job. If you can get them to show up, they don't show up when they should, or they're just really expensive, or they start you at a low price and the next year they jack the price way up. So if you can just kind of keep it simple, and if you show up, communicate, I found that the customers will really be loyal to you most of the time. And you got those always are going to shop around and cut you for $2 and that sort of thing. But for the most part, people will be loyal to you because they appreciate you doing a good job and showing up when you say you're going to. Yeah, there's competition, but again, a lot of the people that are in lawn care business are not don't approach it in a very professional manner. There's always disgruntled customers out there. So I've found, as I see people enter the business, it seems like most of them are able to build up a full schedule pretty quickly because there's just such a high demand. At least in my area, it's a growing industry, growing city I live in. They're always building new houses, and a lot of people want to pay for lawn service. The 6th fear I want to mention is a fear of the future. And I think this comes into play sometimes. I think about this. When you have a job, and let's say that you've got some kind of matching company 401k plan, there's a sense of security in that, hey, if I work here long enough, the company's going to pay me retirement. I've got a steady paycheck coming in. And for those of us that are self-employed, there's no matching company policy out there unless you created one in your own company. And so for most of us, you have to self-retire, and so, or just work forever, and I don't think that's a great option. So there's a fear of the future. Well, what if I physically can't do the work anymore? What if I'm not able to make enough money to, I'm just making enough for my family to live on, not enough to save for the future? And again, these are things that are a good thing to think through, but it takes some discipline, takes probably meeting with a financial expert to be able to help put together a plan to say, how much money do I need to be setting aside for my future, and thinking through those things. But fear of the future can maybe keep some people out of the lawn care business and self-employment in general. And the seventh one that I'm going to mention, and this keeps some people from being in the lawn care business, and that's just a fear of work. Maybe not a fear of work, but just kind of being lazy and just not liking to do it. So it is hard work. It's hot a lot of times, or cold when it's cold, and hot when it's hot, and there's no air conditioner outside, okay? No heater out there unless you got one of those jackets that's got a heater built into it, which would be great. But you got to deal with elements, you got to deal with weather, and it can be hard work. But what I like about it, and I'm going to end with this, is it's very rewarding, you know, and that's something that's great, that you can literally increase your income and hopefully your profits every single year, and you don't have to go ask somebody for a raise. And that goes back to the fear of the future. And I think some people, you know, yes, there's people that fail in the lawn business, but I feel like I'm hearing more and more people who got laid off of a steady job they had to enter in the lawn business than I am people failing in the lawn business. Of course, both happen. But, you know, it's a misconception, in my opinion, to think that if I go work for this company, then that's the safe option, okay? Because I got a steady job, steady paycheck. Well, yeah, that works sometimes. And then sometimes they lay you off unexpectedly, and you don't have a steady job and a steady paycheck. And then you're out on your own. So I personally like the idea of me having a lot more control over whether or not I'm going to have a job tomorrow. Nothing wrong with having a steady job. I'm not against that. I'm just saying, it's a myth to think that that is the ultimate security in that. So for me, you know, if I want to raise next year, I don't have to go ask somebody. I just have to become smarter in how to run my business, go get more customers, maybe cut down on expenses. I mean, there's a lot of control and a lot of things that I can do about that. And typically it works out where I am, you know, generally increasing my profits year over year. And that's a good thing, and I don't have to ask anybody about that, so that's great. So anyway, it's hard work, but it can be rewarding hard work, but it's not for those that are not willing to work hard, and whether that be out there doing the physical work or just the behind the scenes work to make a business run. There's a lot of time and effort, and to be honest with you, critical thinking that needs to go into it on how to be successful. So anyway, I'm Jason Creel. I hope the video is helpful. If you hadn't done so, I'd encourage you to subscribe to the channel. I got over 500 videos. Also have some resources available at lawncarelife.com. We do an annual conference. I say annual, this is our third one to do. It's coming up January 23rd and 24th. Just north of Birmingham, Alabama. It's called the 2020 Lawn Care Life Conference, presented by Jobber. They're the title sponsor, and happy about that. So we have a great time. Have some other YouTubers coming along. Keith Kalfas, Brian Shane from Top Notch Lawn Care. Got Alan Hain, Lawn Care Nut. Got some great sponsors on board. Got Skag is coming, bringing mowers. Exmark's giving away a 30-inch commercial push mower, which I think is about a $2,300 value. And got some other sponsors on board as well, and be more information, but some of that information is on the website as well, lawncarelife.com. Appreciate you watching the video. Let me hear from you. What are some of these fears that you can relate to, or maybe some I left off the list? Talk to you later. Bye.